It's a beautiful morning here in Mombasa, Kenya, where delegates from around the world are gathering for the 11th Our Ocean Conference 2026, the first time the event is being hosted on African soil. Now, over the next 3 days, my camera operator Keenan and I will bring Namibian audience with the latest developments and interviews and also insights of what is being discussed around here that concerns Namibia and our coastline. Coming up, we speak to one of the key voices here at the conference. Stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us now. The blue economy is increasingly being recognized as a key driver for economic growth, job creation, and sustainable development across the African continent. As countries seek to balance economic opportunities with the need to protect marine ecosystems, experts are now calling for greater investment in ocean-based industries, climate resilience, and sustainable fisheries management. Joining me now is Professor Paupert Mahamante, an ocean photographer, academic, former Minister of Fisheries and Blue Economy of Madagascar, and he is a leading advocate for sustainable ocean development on the African continent. Thank you so much, Professor, for taking time to speak to us. What is the biggest opportunity that our oceans provide for the continent's development?
Well, let's say Africa is among the largest coastline around the world. We are talking about 47,000 kilometers of coastline. And in terms of economical exclusive zone, Africa has also around 13 million kilometers square of EEZ. So meaning that Africa alone can feed the whole world in terms of resources. So in Africa, we have about 12 million of fishermen. But these 12 million of fishermen, they feed at least 200 million of people. So meaning that Africa, we have the fishery resources, and then we also have the other aspects of the blue economy. We have the maritime transportation. As you know, in Africa, we have about 247 ports, big ports in Africa. And we also have the tourism, the coastal tourism, and then we also have the other aspects of the blue economy, talking about the marine and coastal ecosystems, such as like seagrass, the mangroves, the coral reef, and so on and so forth. So blue economy, ocean resources, Africa could really get a lot of benefits from it. It depends on the knowledge we have. It depends on the financial capacity that we have, and it depends on the opportunity that can be occurring as well.
Among the sectors that you have mentioned, just talk to us about which of these sectors hold the greatest potential for growth.
I would say in general, fisheries in general, just because we are talking about food. Just because without food, we cannot work. And then the second thing is we can also have the tourism generally. And then we have, of course, the marine and the coastal ecosystems once again. And through it, we can get what we call blue carbon credit. And it is up to us after, let's say, to make what we call marine and coastal ecosystem preservation, to be able to make money from it, just because Africa, we do not pollute much. We do not pollute much in Africa. So that's why when we talk about climate change, for example, when we talk about tackling issues around this climate change, Africa is very well positioned to let's say, contribute on how to reduce the CO2 emission at a global scale.
Professor, now our country, Namibia's coastline stretches about 1,500 kilometers. So what opportunities do you see for countries such as Namibia?
Let's say Namibia, you have the Benguela upwelling. And since you have the Benguela upwelling, so everything, let's say, starts from Namibia for the southwestern Africa. And this current, Benguela current, goes up to all the way up to the Gulf of Guinea. So meaning that Namibia is in the heart of let's say, enrichment of the water surface in terms of nutrients for the western coast of Africa. So for Namibia, you are, let's say, apart from the fisheries, you are very well positioned to give lessons to the rest of the world, just because conservation can start from Namibia, preservation can start from Namibia, and education as well in terms of marine ecosystem, marine and coastal ecosystem can also start from Namibia, and mainly the physical oceanography. And as I was mentioning, I've been several times to Walvis Bay, and Walvis Bay is a key when we talk about fisheries, when we talk about oceanography, and when we talk about many other aspects of the blue economy and ocean.
Professor, talk to us about how important offshore renewable energy and also wind energy is.
So there is a report stating that for the whole Africa, talking about offshore wind energy, Africa can generate about 6,750 gigawatts of electricity. And if we are able only to explore 5% of that, we can have at least 338 gigawatts, which is 28 times of the current electricity which is generated by Africa right now. And it can create jobs for about 5.9 million of jobs. So meaning that it's a huge opportunity, the offshore wind energy. So that's why I would kindly wish to invite Namibia, South Africa, Morocco, Senegal, Madagascar, and the rest of the coastal African countries that have wind potential, really to have this technology, the offshore wind technology. This is kind of like of a very big opportunity to promote blue economy and then to address all issues around electricity in Africa.
Are there any concerns that you'd perhaps like to share when it comes to climate change and how it affects the local communities that live in these areas?
Well, when we talk about climate change, and then of course it is affecting the livelihood, it is affecting the health of the marine and coastal ecosystem, and that will also affect the culture in general. So that's why we need to give hand together. It's not only the government, not only the community, not only the academia, the private sector, and then we have the civil society. All of these stakeholders need to give hand to be able to really address climate change.
Professor, there is a thin line between conservation and development. So what would then be your advice to governments when it comes to striking a balance in this regard?
What I can say is that there is no development without innovation. And there is no innovation without science. And behind science, we have research and education. So I do believe in science as a scientist. So for me, when we talk about conservation, there is a way for us to, let's say, marry the conservation and then the development. That's why we talk about sustainable development. When we talk about blue economy, for example, we cannot talk about sustainable blue economy without the preservation of the marine and coastal ecosystems. So both can go together. That's why we need policy, that's why we need strategy, and of course, scientists and technicians to conceptualize and then implement.
Professor, talk to us about some of the changes that you have seen along your way with the blue economy of, just to pin it down to Africa mostly? Yes.
What I have seen is that Africa has been much interested into maritime transportation, into fisheries, marine aquaculture, and now Africa is going to get more interested into offshore wind energy, renewable energies in general. So meaning that Africa doesn't want to be left behind. Africa is following the global flow. So let's give a hand once again, believe in science, and put in place a wonderful policy that all government will implement. Thank you.
In the globally?
Well, at global scale, let's say knowledge exchange is very important. So there are some countries that are much in advance, and there are some that are a bit left behind. So we need to pull out those that are left behind, and that is the importance of education, research, and once again, science.
Professor, your final message to our African leaders?
What I can say is education is the key, research and innovation. So let's encourage scientists to go much further in terms of research and innovation, and government is invited to kindly apply and implement the results of the research, and that is for innovations. And Africa, we have wonderful universities, but we need to work together. So I would kindly invite all presidents in Africa to give hands for knowledge exchange and then promote all together the renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor, for that insightful discussion. And that's just one of many conversations taking place here in Mombasa, Kenya, as delegates gather to discuss the future, of our oceans and the opportunities they present for Africa. We will definitely continue bringing you updates and interviews throughout the conference, which will be happening for 3 days. But for now, let's take a look at an insert on Namibia's blue economy.
The ocean is central to life on Earth, producing 70% of the oxygen we breathe and regulating climate. Here in Namibia, our exclusive economic zone, which is the sea area extending from the low water line along the coast out to a distance of about 370 kilometers offshore, covers over 530,000 square kilometers, which is more than twice the size of our land. This means we have incredible opportunities in areas like fisheries, marine mining, renewable energy, and tourism. Our coastline and marine areas are home to some of the most amazing tourist spots you can imagine. From where the Namib Desert dunes meet the Atlantic Ocean, to world-class windsurfing around Lüderitz, to the popular fishing grounds at Henties Bay, and not to forget the marine wildlife that can be seen throughout our vast ocean zone. Therefore, as we develop our coastal and marine tourism, it is important to do so based on blue economy principles that ensure environmental sustainability and socio-economic inclusivity.
We have certain fish species that have already collapsed, so we need to ensure that we have better management plans to overcome this challenge.
CIMIS, our main aim is marine literacy. What we do is we go out and engage schools, but our most famous or our most engaging program is the beach classes, where we invite students, learners to the beach. We have a class at the beach, and we teach them about the marine environment, our Benguela current, why our ocean is so productive, how the various species in the ocean as well, because what you find is that most of these kids just know the basics, the masbangar, the hake that you find in the ocean, but they don't really know much about the ocean. So we take them to the beach, we have those classes, and then we also offer the intertidal tour. This is where we take them in the intertidal zone, that area where sometimes it's exposed, sometimes it's underwater.
Okay.
Yes, so there are a lot of animals that live there. But then you find that a lot of times when kids come to the beach, they are not aware of this. It's just rocks, they think it's a rock. So we give them a guide, and then we let them sort of go on a hunt, to find all these organisms that are found in this area.
The NIMPA is a marine protected area that is around Lüderitz, and The aim is really to extend marine protected areas in Namibia so that we have all these ecologically sensitive areas, so ecologically and also biologically sensitive areas declared, or EBSAs that are declared as marine protected areas, all with the sole purpose of conserving marine biodiversity. We aim to diversify livelihoods within the Neem Park.
Oil spills are a serious threat to our ocean ecosystem, and should they occur, there needs to be urgent action taken to deal with that. All the industries, whether it's transport, fishing, tourism, oil and gas, and other emerging industries, there is a need to take care of the marine environment. We need to have inclusive environmental impact assessments that needs to be properly implemented. The health of our ocean is everything to the country. And in us taking care of our ocean, we are ultimately holding up our international commitments in ensuring that we contribute to the health of the ocean. This ocean is not only ours, it's as much as South Africa's and Angola and the rest of Africa in that sense, because the ocean's water circulate. So pollution done here can eventually end up in other parts of the world.
Giant kelp forests are known as ecosystem engineers. So a lot of organisms find that as a home for them to thrive because the environment is quite ideal. In there, they hide from predators, they are thriving because there is good oxygenated waters, and also really they are protected from the harshness of the Bemwela. And what we are trying to mitigate with climate change is really carbon removal. As we burn fossil fuels, we are emitting a lot of it in the atmosphere, and most of it is absorbed by our oceans. About 30% of the flesh of kelp is actually carbon.
Hyphen have conducted early environmental studies, that is now your baseline studies, to determine the environmental impact on project sites. So one of the things that the baseline studies we were doing was just to determine marine ecosystems near the project site. So initially, to just avoid the more sensitive coastline areas, so that the more sensitive the areas are, we move away from the sensitive areas. We have 4,000 square kilometers.
We are Namibia's first maritime museum, so our displays and exhibitions here are about Namibia's connection to the ocean. So it's more on Namibia's maritime history, Namibia's present and Namibia's future. And also to add to that, we have a fully fledged library with books all based on the subject of the ocean.
The port basically provides for infrastructure development both in the Port of Walvis Bay and the Port of Lüderitz. And for the Port of Walvis Bay, we equally have what we call the dry port facilities that equally bring the land-linked countries back to the blue economy that we spoke about, back to the ocean, through which they can all equally facilitate the importation of products for their respective countries. It brings practically these land-linked countries back to the ocean.
Those were just some of the opportunities and prospects that Namibia's blue economy presents. Here in Mombasa, delegates are preparing for the official opening of the 11th Our Oceans Conference, which gets underway at 9 o'clock in the morning Kenyan time. That is 8 o'clock in Namibia. Over the next 3 days, world leaders, policymakers, scientists, investors, and conservationists will explore ways to protect the world's oceans while unlocking economic opportunities through sustainable development. For now, from Mombasa, Kenya, I'm Richelin Onses, and it has been an absolute pleasure to be in your company.